Hi guys, welcome to Women's Sports Center. Today we're at FASANOC. We'll be catching up with Lyndall Fisher. Let's go! So today here with us, we have an amazing woman that have played sport in Fiji, represented Fiji in many world stages. She is a trailblazer for Fijian sports development officer, and she's also a role model for not only women in Fiji, but all over the world. And today I want to welcome you with our guest, Lyndall Fisher. How are you today, Lyndall? Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for being here.
All right, so you've had an amazing journey with sports. You've done swimming, you've played golf as well, but you're also in the sports environment, but just in a different field. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey in sports and supporting women in sports as well?
When I was young, I started swimming at a very early age, going to primary school and that. We were fortunate to have swimming classes at school, and I think that sort of started my love, particularly for swimming. And I was actually I went to Sewell Grammar School, and we had I awarded the school colours for sports right from secondary school. And nowadays when we swam, it was at the Suva Sea Baths. It was actually seawater, which is the Olympic pool in town now. Not a lot of people know that was a sea bath. So we had lots of challenges at the pool. And during one of our competitions, or preparing for one of the South Pacific Games, as it was known then, the baths were being changed to the Olympic pool. So we actually had to go, and St. Joseph's kindly let us train in their pool. Mm-hmm. So those were just one of the little challenges that happened along the way in swimming.
Yeah.
But I went on to represent Fiji at 3 South Pacific Games.
Yeah.
And actually made it to the Commonwealth Games in 1974.
How good.
So
what a journey. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in Christchurch, so it was close by for us to go there. And then when my swimming days sort of came to an end, my parents were both keen golfers, so we spent a lot of time socially at the golf club.
Absolutely.
And then I took up golf while I was still swimming, but it just went on from there, and got very involved in the world of golf.
Oh, awesome. So awesome to hear. So when you played in SVG, you had a group of girls that you participated with, and you also won 2 silvers. That's awesome to hear. And then going on to win a bronze, and then going into golf. What was the challenge between going from swimming to golf?
Well, it wasn't really hard because as you get older with swimming, particularly in those days, by the time you turn like 21, you're considered old for the sport of swimming. And so there weren't many young girls playing golf. But I was lucky that my dad was a good golfer.
Yeah.
And actually when I went to the 1969 South Pacific Games, my brother and I were in the swimming team, and my dad was actually in the golf team. So it was pretty special for us having a family there. And then so my dad was very encouraging with golf, and I went on to represent Fijian golf in the South Pacific Games as well.
Yeah. So along with those achievements, were there moments where being a woman made the journey a little more challenging? For you particularly?
Yeah, in swimming, I guess like some sports, because it's individual, we were sort of like gang with the boys. There weren't too many challenges, and we were pretty strong girls.
Yeah.
So we were able to hold our own, in the swimming pool and that. And then with golf, because golf is really mainly the male-dominated sport, and usually older players, older men and women play golf.
Right.
So we just had to show him that I got involved on the committees as well. So I think that helped to boost our confidence in being able to attack any problems or challenges that came along.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going into coming out from sports and then going into the sports committee, how does visibility change your confidence and ambition for younger girls, do you think?
Yes, we're working for FASANOC, where we have nearly 40 national federations, and we can see from the administration perspective that a lot of the committees are headed by men. So that was a challenge for us, trying to get women to come up, step up, So we were fortunate to be able to get some funding to actually run management programs to invite the sports to nominate specifically a woman. And we did have quite an active women in sport committee that I was involved with for several years. And I think, and from then, with Team Fiji going to all the games and that, we try and encourage the women to come on board, particularly with the issue of safeguarding athletes. I think it's very important that teams, when they travel, if there's especially young girls and women, that they do have a woman official traveling with them. The girls can't really talk to some of their managers or coaches about women's issues and that, so I think we really need to make the women be more accountable and they're very capable. We're recently currently holding lots of Oceania sport education programs, and we're saying, come on, you've got to get this the woman to come up. And
absolutely. And then with that story, was there a success story of a woman or a girls team that stood up to you growing up or playing the sport, and lessons that you might have learned from that story?
I think
even if it was just your team, even
and I think because as you said earlier, we won some medals in the relays initially when we were quite young.
Absolutely.
And we got silvers and the boys got bronze, so that was a real wow, we can do it. And I think that sets the platform to show the guys that it's not everything about them, and that we can challenge them in lots of areas now.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that a lot of the younger generation look up to as well, that women are able to do things that men are doing as well, and it's never always going to be a men's field, and women can do better in that field as well. So thank you so much for all those inspiring stories, and we'll just go on a short break and we'll talk about more inspiring stories then. Bye. Hola and welcome back to Women's Sports Center. Let's go right back into it. So we were just talking about safeguarding and how much that's helped with the sporting, especially with females and women. What are the biggest challenges do you think women and girls face in sports today?
I think not having enough opportunities. Like with the scholarships become available or sponsors, they sort of look at the men because they have excelled a little bit more than the women. So I think they should be given a fairer chance to have some of those opportunities, particularly to get better. You really need to have a lot of competition.
Absolutely.
A higher level competition than what you might get at home. And so opportunities to travel abroad or just to increase your level of fitness and increase your rankings and that.
And do you think there are struggles that we don't often hear about from athletes or that you've maybe heard?
For a lot of the younger ones here, it's even financial difficulties just getting from home to training. If they've got to be at the stadium at 6 a.m. or at the pool at 6 a.m., the buses aren't running till 5, and they get training late, the coach bails at them.
Exactly, yes.
So if they can have a little bit more funding to maybe get taxis to training early,
absolutely.
And keeping up to date with technology, even their training outfits and stuff like that. There's some sports that specifically, like for swimming, you can't really compete just have an ordinary swimming costume. You've got to have approved, World Aquatics approved bathers and stuff like that. So it can become a bit costly.
Yeah. And then what do you think about cultural? Have there been improvements in that or?
Yes, well, I know a lot of the, traditionally, the girls don't wear short shorts and, little tops, and even the runners now, wear little tops for running and that. So you can imagine the old days again, top sort of thing. So it's just a matter of showing them how sport in the world has evolved, and you've got to keep up with the latest technology and clothing
Absolutely.
to be able to compete at that time.
Especially when you're competing, like that's one thing for me. Like you look good, you play good. Like you should be able to look like everyone else. And
of course, they all want the branded name.
Exactly.
It's so costly.
And then just from improvements on that, that part of the improvements that we need, what initiatives are currently working well for either FASANOC or just improving in the women's?
Yeah, I think it's important too that the young ones have somebody, role models to look up to, and that those, such as yourself, if you went somewhere and they said, oh, look, she represented Fiji and that. So you've got to just try and develop and nurture the young ones to come up and say, if I can do it, you can do it. And another issue too is, as I said before, safeguarding. You've got to make sure that your athletes are safe in training. Sometimes the coaches can get too personally involved with the kids.
Absolutely.
And just to have trust and no abuse of trust. And the main thing is to be drug-free.
Absolutely.
Don't get involved in drugs. There's so much fancy testing these days, and you may not know that you've taken something that has a drug. And they always say that you are responsible for what goes into your mouth.
Absolutely.
So you've got to really be, because you can be drug tested at any time.
Yeah.
As soon as you're named on a training squad, whatever sport, there's a police druggie, from the drug-free sport Fiji and that are going around, and you can be tested wherever, whenever. So you have to tell your coaches, come games time, where you'll be. You've got to be 24/7. If we want to come and test you, you've got to be available. Not being available means you could be guilty, and you could be banned. And that's the last thing we want, seeing those people.
And do you think they've had enough of educational classes with not just national team, but the development side of it?
Yeah, I mean, again, there are programs that sports can tap into and get people to go and talk to them on the various issues, and particularly for us at FASANOC, when we have teams travelling, we have a team assembly and we bring all the athletes together and we get different people to talk on different topics. And remaining healthy. Yeah, if you have a nickel from an injury, go and get it seen to.
Definitely.
Don't let it go worse that at the end you can't compete.
Yeah.
There's physios now, and you can go to the hospital to get attention and that.
And do you think having a management that is a female staff or a woman being in the team will help develop the girls more, make them feel safer?
I think so, because if you're a female, you can more comfortable to go and talk to a female official rather than going to if we had a male coach to go, especially if there's women's problems, So, and I think the girls feel more comfortable, and then within their own groups and that have a buddy system, so that I'm shy to go and tell my manager, but can us two go together? Just look after each other.
Absolutely. I think that's one thing for being away from family as well when you're traveling.
Yes.
You want to be able to feel at home, but also have a female figure there with you as well, like a mother figure. It's so important being away from family as well. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and go on another short break and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Women's Sports Center, and we're back with Lyndall Fisher. Just talking about sports, and then you've gone into swimming and then golf, and now you're in a committee. What does FASANOC offer or sports offer when you think of players or athletes that have been playing rugby or sports their whole life, and then having to be done and then going back into the real world, what is there to offer for them?
So I think that's where sports has developed over the years. I mean, I've actually been working for FASANOC for over 30 years. That's on me on But there is opportunities, and I mean, when I first started at FASANOC, there was only, I was the second employee to be.
Right.
Yeah, there was only 2. Now we have 10 in the office, and because we're fortunate being a member of the Olympic Committee, where there is funding that's available to help towards salaries, although we do not get any funding from government here. We're totally on our own here. And I think a lot of the sports now are realising through the International Federation, there's quite a few sports here that now have paid employees through the international. I know basketball and athletics, netball, they are able, through their sponsors, their local sponsors, and through the international bodies, funding is becoming available now to sports. So there is, for some, life after sports, still staying in sport. And I mean, that was one of the nice things for me, is that because I received so much through the various sports, and that we can try and give back and helping to develop sports even further.
Absolutely. And it's almost like saying thank you back to the sports for bringing you this far, and just giving back to them. Awesome. And then how important do you think media coverage is changing attitudes towards women in sports?
Yes, well, I still look at the papers particularly, and you see most of the posts are male orientated. So it's nice to be able to see when the females are acknowledged.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of them are married these days and have families, and in sport they really have to work hard to be able to achieve their goals, looking after families as well.
Right.
And so the media do lead a major role in promoting, particularly women in sports.
Absolutely. And I think that's the advantage of this show, Women's Sports Center. I think it would help create a real impact as well, because there's other shows as well, but I think this is it gives women a really awesome opportunity to hear inspiring stories like yours, and be able to find inspiration in that, and then just go for the goals, right? And then what message would you give young girls who wants to play sports but feel unsure about it?
Yeah, well, I'm sure they have friends who may have siblings or friends of friends who are in sport, and they might be shy to get out onto the field, do something, but there's so many national federations now, and I'm sure there's friends of friends who can say, well, look, I know a friend who's involved in this sport. Let's just go along and have a chat to them. And we're always looking for youngsters.
Absolutely.
With the Pacific Games now, a lot of the sports component has got a youth element, like under 18 or under 21, depending on the sport. So we really need to see sports being lifted, and it's a bit disappointing for me because with golf, which I love now as well, we don't have many young girls on the scene. And I think at the last games we only had one eligible youth girl, because I think it's still an old person's game. but I know there are quite a few sports so we really need to nurture and develop them. And if anybody is interested in sport, we have the contacts for, as I said, the 40 national federations who are affiliated to us. So if you we often have people coming in and saying, oh, we want to play badminton or darts or something.
Yeah.
So we just hand them the contacts.
Right.
So we're available to provide, the contacts to help support sports.
Absolutely. And then growing up, you picked up a job when you were swimming, and then having to play golf, and then just letting your boss know that if you were picked later for the games, that you'd be out, like you needed to get out.
Anytime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then just with that, and then your parents being super supportive. I had watched one of your interviews when you had mentioned that you were pregnant when you were playing golf and you had won a championship. How amazing is that? Not everyone can say they did that. How important are parents, school, and communities in supporting girls?
Oh, very much. Again, because, a lot of people still think, oh no, the sports are for the boys and that, but they've got to appreciate that. And it's so physically good for you to be out and about playing sports and that. And I think that has changed now. And I think the families are very proud if you get selected.
Yeah.
And they like to see the healthy lifestyles. It's really scary seeing so many people with diabetes, you know, young people getting bigger and bigger, not being active. So I think all families should encourage sport in whatever sport their child wishes to play.
Very true, yes. And what is your vision for women's sports in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, once you finish playing sport, now please give back. As I said, we really need, there's not many, the numbers of the women on committees in the various sports. They're predominantly males still, and I'd like to see that changed with females taking over. There's a couple of international federations now. I can name swim straight off. They now have a female president. So that's really good to see. And I think the women have to step up. You know, if you're a parent, you get on a committee and help. And that way you're sharing the load with your athletes and that. Yeah.
And if you could change one thing today, what would it be?
Whoa. I don't know about change, but I think it's accepting what you have, what you can work with.
Absolutely.
And then there will always be in need of updating sports equipment, the technical side of it, like with swimming with the electronic timing. And the equipment is very expensive these days, so it's great to see that we've got a duty waiver on most sporting equipment, which helps fund the one particular thing. I just keep getting the girls out to play and active.
It's a very good message, thank you. So if you had a final message to young women and girls that's watching the show today, what would it be?
Just live your dream. If you dream of wanting to represent in a sport, go for it. And as I said earlier, please keep away from drugs. Say no to drugs. It's your game, your sport, your body. And I just wish all the upcoming superstars that we have out there.
So thank you so much, Lyndall, for your time today. Thank you for inspiring us with your story. And I know that a lot of the next generation will be inspired by your story. So thank you again for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Naka. And thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time on Women's Sports Center. Naka.